Although it doesn't really solve the problem.
I wasn't feeling this episode.
I really enjoyed it.
I didn't. I mean, I thought it was too much of a remake. And while I mean, there's a difference between a remake and an homage.
It's pretty much a remake.
And I can handle an homage. Remakes just like, oh, like you gotta come correct, man. You gotta, like 311 said, you gotta come original.
I don't think it's that much more egregious than Star Trek Into Darkness, though, which is a remake on some levels of Wrath of Khan. I guess it's a more direct remake than Star Trek Into Darkness, though, because at least in Into Darkness they flip some archetypes. They make some deliberate changes, whereas this one's pretty much a play-by-play remake. Except it's the main characters instead of some random ruddy-faced Irishman fucking shit up.
It's Geordie LaForge like going fucking nuts.
It starts with him, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because you got it so damn hot in here.
I laughed out loud, and I'm like, man, that's awesome.
I enjoyed this one. I especially enjoyed the scenes with Tasha Yar and Data. I thought that was very cute. Where again, I was surprised how early in the show they got into Data's sexuality. Like, whether like episode 2.
Like, yeah, if you listen back to episode 16, the mega size episode,
with all of our Austin buddies, well, most of them.
Mary Beth quotes this episode when Mary Beth and Rob
they bring it up.
They say like, oh, he's fully functional. And programmed in
multiple techniques,
and I'm like, oh, that that might be like
that sounds like a season 5.
Yeah, like they might like that's something they're digging in deep.
Roddenberry's like, let him know his dick works from Jump Street.
like
they tried to get it into the
after
pilot.
episode 1, after going to a 4 point, they're like, did you talk about Data's dick? Like, no, we didn't. Like, it's gotta be in episode 2. You gotta have the dick. And they're like, geez.
Also, Denise Crosby. I mean. Not to get too sexist on the show, but when she's wearing the tummy bearing thing, she's ripped.
Yeah.
Like, she's a very lovely lady.
Very lovely.
Also, I thought her acting got a lot better this week. I feel like, of all the episodes this week, I feel like it's like she's settling into more of a groove. They figured out what her range is, and they're actually writing to it for the most part.
I don't know. There's just something about that haircut, man. I don't know what it is.
It's very of its time.
Yeah, it is, but I like it.
Does it turn you on?
I don't know if I'm like, boom.
Or you just enjoy it. You're like, this reminds me of a happy time.
Well, like, she has, like, that Josie Bassett from Melrose Place haircut. And
right.
Kind of not Winona Ryder. The single white female. Who was that?
I don't know.
Who was that woman?
Kathleen Turner.
I
don't know.
You're thinking of V.K. Wachowski or whatever that was. Bridget Fonda.
Bridget Fonda.
Drive a Honda Fonda.
Bridget Fonda short hair.
Exactly. That kind of like hairstyle, but
right.
But even more like Josie Bassett because she's blonde and it has like the dark like under hair, whatever that is. I don't know. I'm not a hairstylist.
She's Bing Crosby's granddaughter. In case anybody listening didn't already know that. I think we actually know less about Star Trek than most of the people listening.
For sure. I know for sure I do.
So it's basically like a bunch of geniuses listening to a couple of subnormals try to work out some basic facts.
And loving it.
Laughing at our foolishness. It's like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead.
So Data's got a fully functional dick.
Mm-hmm. I also enjoyed the flirtation of the captain and
Jean-Luc and Beverly Crusher.
What I liked about this episode, more so than the original, is that you can see right from episode 2 that they are actually developing characters.
Yeah.
That they are growing relationships. And I liked that this episode actually gave them opportunities to talk about and show things, and plant things, or grow them a little bit. Like Wesley's ability to take over the ship.
Yeah, he takes it over like because he's like, this is what I want. And forcibly takes it over.
Right.
To the point where Picard's like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, no, it's cool, man. I got it.
Just tell me what you want me to do. I'll do it.
I got it, dude. It's under control. But yeah, that is true. Like in the original, in the Naked Time, like Sulu's greatest desire was just a fence without a shirt on. Like that was his jam.
Right. That they actually use it for character purposes. But
and that Irish guy, his greatest desire was to get drunk and
sing ballads.
Yeah, sing "Oh Danny Boy"
right.
over and over. But in this one, it's like, hey, like I want to fuck. Like, oh yeah, me too. And like I want to run a ship. Like I want to do this. I want to do that.
Yep. I that's what I liked about it. Like for me, it felt like. Also, I don't know if it's because I watched it as a kid, but like...
Do Dana and Tasha, do they bone down?
Yeah, they have sex.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Because she comes to him at the end and she's like, I'm just going to say one thing. It never happened.
That's right, yeah.
But he actually smiles and stuff in this episode. And at one point, after they've had sex, he comes back to the bridge and he's kind of grinning like he's drunk. And like, I think they even bring it up. One of the characters, it maybe Worf is supposed to say something like, where he says something like, you know, it shouldn't affect synthetics, or it shouldn't affect. But there's also a line that made Becca laugh a lot, where Worf turns to Data and goes, "I don't understand the humor either." Like somebody's made a joke and Data doesn't get it, and Worf chips in. He's like, "I don't get it either."
Worf is always wanting to do one. He's always wanted like to fight, face a problem directly, and everyone's always telling him to shut up.
I mean, I guess it might count as a spoiler alert, but his role becomes a lot more defined once Denise Crosby leaves the show.
Yeah, for sure.
So he really gets a chance to shine.
So yeah, they find the cure. Wesley.
What is the cure?
How
do they use the compound? They look up in the logs like, here's what happened in Star Trek Season 1. And they use it, but it doesn't work. How do they adapt it?
Oh, I don't remember.
I'm going to look it up. You can talk about Wesley for a second.
Well, yeah, he takes it and Picard. I mean, he helps basically kind of solve the problem.
Right.
Like he is able to figure out a way to.
Well, they're towing ship
to move the ship, and Picard has to like give him credit. He's like, hey, thanks. How old is he supposed to be? Like 15, 13?
I think he's supposed to be 13.
12, 11?
I think he's 13. But it's Tsiolkovsky. Tsiolkovsky? I can't pronounce it. I'm sure somebody will write in. Or we could watch the episode again and find out. But they're trying to tow the ship, but they realize like they're going to get hit by this supernova. So Wesley turns the tractor beam around, puts it in reverse, and that gives them enough push-off to get away. I also really like Data reshuffling the cards.
Yeah.
I guess he's just putting them in every possible configuration until they find the one that works.
Probably.
It felt very cinematic. It felt more exciting than the old show.
This episode got a lot of bad reviews.
Really?
Yeah.
Do tell.
Well, they said that someone said that there's nothing in the episode as entertaining as Sulu bare-chested with an epee, whatever.
A rapier?
Well, it says ape, but yeah, like the fencing sword. And Wesley being nerdy in the engine room is nowhere near as fun as Riley singing.
I mean, I guess you're right. It's not as much goofy fun as the original, but it's a different show, so it kind of it takes its own approach to the subject matter. I'm not saying it's the best episode. I'm just saying I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it more than the other two we watched this week.
Will Wheaton himself said that Trekkies looking for reasons to hate Next Generation found plenty in this episode.
I like that he actually... I think they've got a note about him, at least in all the episodes we've watched so far. There's always a note about his views on it.
I think he reviewed like the first season or two
for AOL back in 2006 when AOL was still almost a thing.
Was still like it was just about ending as a thing.
Time Warner, like.
Remember when it was like AOL Time Warner?
That's what I was gonna say. It's like they're like retiring There was a point in time where AOL was so powerful that Time and Warner Brothers teamed up to buy it and bring it into the fold that they needed. Like, I guess it just goes to show you don't know what's going to be important in 10 years. Like, Google might be done in 10 years. We don't know.
Yeah,
like, it's so pervasive now.
And that's the thing. Like, and Facebook has only been around for less than 10 years.
It's been around 8 years, maybe.
I mean, well, I
signed up in 2005, but it was around.
But no one had it. Like no one uses. Like
it was MySpace.
Like my other friends who are
Friendster.
Like my other friends who are in college, I guess are on this, but that's it. Like like I can't scam on high school chicks. So what the fuck is the point?
Exactly.
And once Facebook's like, all right, anyone can sign up. Like, all right, well then I'll start using it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I remember I had both, but I checked my MySpace like 10 times a day. I checked my Facebook maybe once a week. And I don't know when it shifted. It might have been whenever our friend Walter was like, I'm done. Like, because you remember his MySpace said Walter quit MySpace, and that was the name of his page after that. And it just seemed like by around 2007 or so, that's when the shift really happened, I guess, for at least our group.
Yeah.
By 2008, I was still checking my MySpace.
I think by that point, more people were getting on to Facebook. And like I said, that was the thing. Like, it used to be only for, like, you had to sign up with your college email address. I never used that because of, like, I only get, notices about school shootings. Like, school's on lockdown. There's a shooter on campus. Like,
oh, good.
Like, great.
Guess I'll stay home.
Guess I'm stuck in the Wooten Hall. That's a UNT joke for all you Mean Green Eagles.
You Dintonians.
Next episode, the Code of Honor.
Now you want to talk about an episode that sucks.
Code of Honor. Is it racist?
Yeah, let's get into.
Let's just jump right into that.
Give your take.
Okay, well, it's a basic plot. There's an epidemic. There's like a swine flu. 3000 is going on. Anchiles fever on Styrus 4. The anchovies fever is going crazy, killing like millions of people.
Right.
They find a vaccine. They had to go to a planet to get a vaccine, and Tasha Yar is captured by the people of that planet.
Ligon 2.
And they have to basically he's like, I'm going to take her as my wife. And his wife, and his then wife, is like, whoa, fuck that, I want to fight her to the death over this.
Right.
And so they fight, whatever, blah, 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 everything turns out for the best.
Well, Tasha kills her, so she wins,
yes,
but they beam both of them back to the Enterprise in time to revive the wife. And so because she has died, her bond of marriage...
she has died.
Right. So Luton loses everything at the end, and his buddy... She marries his buddy.
Because, he actually loved her.
Right, he called out for her.
Because he was like, watch out for that white girl!
See, you shout. You show a little concern.
Yeah.
Who knows what awesome things might happen to you.
And also, I use that voice because they're...
black.
They
are like characters from Eddie Murphy's Home Country in Coming to America.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, yeah. For sure. Like, even when Tasha Yar is fighting the wife.
Yeah, let me look up her name here.
She's wearing like this like tiger stripe like suit, like she's like a jungle woman.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, it's like a neon pink tiger with a headband.
So, is it racist?
Urena. That's her name. Urena. I told you my thoughts on it. I feel like in the execution, it's racist. I don't think there's anything in the writing that's explicitly racist. It's not like Paradise Syndrome where it's written about the white god taking care of the Indians. I think the fact that they cast it all black, and they decided to play the characters as primitive, like a primitive, not primitive, semi-primitive, like Prince of Persia era.
Well, yeah, I mean, not like primitive, like where they're using rocks to make fire and stuff, but just kind of like a very like traditional, like,
like background characters in an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah, like, well, I mean,
like Second World, maybe.
I don't like the word primitive.
No, it's not. They're not primitive because they have their own technology.
They have a vaccine for this disease that Starfleet even doesn't have.
They're just not as advanced in a lot of ways.
Well, I mean,
culturally, they're not.
I guess like culturally, they're still. I mean, it's more. It's like a throwback. It's like a throwback culture.
Well, I even say you're a lot like one of our primitive, not primitive. One of you were very much like an earlier version of an Earth culture. I don't know if they ever come right out and say which culture it is, but when they're doing the giving of gifts, I don't think they're actually. I don't think they name a country in Africa though. I think they pick something else entirely. So I feel like the execution is racist. I don't feel like the story itself, because they were originally written to be aliens. And they were like, oh, we can't afford to make aliens. Let's just make them black. We can afford black people.
We can afford black people. James Hunt of denofgeek.com said that it's quite possibly the worst piece of Star Trek ever made. I
don't think he's seen all of the original show.
Yeah, maybe he hasn't seen Paradise Syndrome.
Yeah.
See,
that's such hyperbole.
Okay, so if they weren't black...
It wouldn't be racist.
No one would even think, I mean, if they're just like
if they were multiracial, like if there were blacks and whites, Hispanics, like if they were like Earth, where there are lots of different,
and that's just like there's all members of this culture.
Mm-hmm.
Then it would be like, oh, they're just like, you know, it's
right.
Like,
It's just a different culture.
They just look